The group is beautiful, as always. Watching you play, we were able with the cameras to get some tight shots on your thumb and the technique that has set you apart from other guitarists. There's the story about the guitarist on the West Coast who said he spent one whole day trying to slam a car door on your thumb.
You know who that was?
Who was that?
Jim Hall.
Jim Hall. Speaking of guitarists, Jim Hall. But this technique, which is unschooled and it's pure Wes Montgomery, this technique and what you do with it, playing octaves in your solo lines, this is what has set you apart from every other guitarist in life. And as I remember the story you telling me many years ago, this came about because, first of all, playing with your thumb rather than a pick was quieter.
Yeah. Well, it didn't, like, a pick seems to have more of a piercing sound, and it's sharper. And, well, when I first started, I started with a pick, of course. Everybody else was starting with a pick. And I used to use, I liked it for my amplifier to be on because I found out that when you practice without an amplifier for like 2 months, and then you use the amplifier, you hear more noise than you do notes. So I said, well, I'll break that habit, so I just use the amplifier all the time. But while doing that, I would go into the night practicing. And, but I forgot I was disturbing neighbors.
Yeah.
So that was very shortly brought to my attention. And so then I thought, well, I have to cut down some kind of way. But I had my amplifier really cut down. If I cut down much more, I might as well not use it. So then I set the pick on the top of the amplifier and made it much of a rounder sound, softer. So I said, well, I'll use that until I get where I can play, and then I'll use a pick. But I forgot you have to develop a pick.
Then you learned that you couldn't use a pick.
That's right.
Because you had learned to play with your thumb.
That's right.
And you couldn't use a pick.
That's right. So then I wasn't trying to be one of the best anyway. I was just playing for my own amusement. So I go through all the trouble of developing a pick when I can play my thumb when I want to play. You know.
Now, every schooled guitarist in the world knows that it's impossible to play without a pick and to play as you play.
Well, they claim the thumb is the slowest operating finger on the hand.
Yeah.
I think that's why like classical players use their thumb, but not in the same manner.
Right.
You see.
But you get incredible speed.
Yeah, well, it hurts.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, in some kind of way it hurts.
Yeah. You get incredible speed with your thumb. But this is what has set you apart.
Yes.
This and, as I say, what you do with it. The octaves in your solo lines, again, this was a thing unheard until Wes Montgomery. How'd you hit on that?
Well, I was tuning up one day, and my guitar was always out of tune. Well, I thought it was because I had a bad guitar at that time. Bought on Lemon, but even the new one, they just don't stay in tune. So it was laid out like it would be in tune, maybe down at the lower end, but up here, within this range, it would be out of tune. So I used to take the first string and the third string and go like that and find out how close they were together, which one goes out. They're not tuned up. So while doing that, I ran a scale. Accidentally, I said, oh, it's not too bad. And so then I put them together and ran the scale again. And the only thing I could figure anything to it was just 2 notes. I said, oh, it's not too much. Then I was going to run again and check it out, and I missed it. I said, oh, come on. You know, you don't do it accidentally and make it then try to do it intentionally and miss it. You know, that's turned around the wrong way. So I had trouble ever since. Then after I got so I played the scale, I wasn't through then. I said, well, I think I'll play a melody, you know, line. Couldn't play a melody line, man. And every time when I get one thing accomplished, then I couldn't do the next step. So I said, oh, come on. You know, 2 notes, come on. You know. And I kept on until I got, so I said, well, I want to play solo lines with it, which I couldn't do at that time. My hand just get cramps, and I take it off the guitar to still be like that. I said, you know, oh, it was horrible.
But you did make it.
Yeah, finally.
You sure did make it.
Great, man.
And when this was first heard, I remember the comment. I remember the people saying, good grief, listen to this. He's playing solo lines. He's playing octaves in solo lines. There was a story of a young guitarist who came to this country as an exchange student going to school in this country. And in Europe, he was a guitar student. He wasn't coming here to study guitar. He was coming here to go to the university. But back home, he was a guitar student. And when he left Europe to come here, his guitar teacher in Europe said, if you are ever in a town where Wes Montgomery is playing, go and watch him. Notice the key word was watch. Huh? Go and watch him, and then come back and show me how he does that. And I've had so many guitarists comment along this same line. They listen, for instance, to your records. They hear what you're doing, but they can't, in their mind, hear the fingering that would accomplish this.
Yeah, I received a lot of letters with a piece of paper in it, draw out a guitar neck to find out what finger goes on what string, and what the process was. And at the same time, they used to study me once a month. All the guitar players would get together, and they would wonder, each one would put his ideas of what I was doing. So when I went to Europe, we all got together, all the top guitar players. I guess about 24, all around. And we used the music store basement, and we got together and just discussed guitar. It was amazing.
Oh, really?
It was amazing. Beautiful.
But the letters you used to get with a chart of the guitar, these were from European countries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they got, I forget the name of the magazines that they have in Europe, something like Downbeat over here.
Yes.
And they would have questionnaires of different guitar players and answers. And what naturally we received magazines over here. And they would, each one would comment about what they think I was, what approach they think I was using and the difference. And a lot of them felt that they come to the conclusion out of the whole group that they don't take me as a guitar player.
Oh?
I'm not a guitar player to them.
What are you?
I use it. They consider, like what their approach to the instrument, they're guitar players.
Yes.
But I don't use it as, I don't play it as a guitar.
You use it as a musical instrument?
Yeah, as an instrument to project what I have in mind. So I thought that's
an interesting analogy, and perhaps holds some water.
Right,
Yes.
that's right. Because I don't know anything about the instrument. Well, I mean, you know what I mean.
I understand what you
Technically,
mean.
I don't want to know anything about it really, because it's too much. That's another field.
Yeah.
You find a lot of fellows, they spend more time. So I don't think I have the right pickup. I like to pick up with so many screws in it for the magnet, and some say, well, I got the wrong bridge, and you know, when you get through, you still have to play it. You know.
Yeah.
So
Your thinking along that line of, now for instance, we're a good teacher to come along now and try to touch what you are doing could destroy completely what Wes Montgomery is. And it reminds me so of a story of Ben Webster, who went to a teacher. Now this was long after Ben Webster was an established star. In fact, it was rather late in Ben Webster's life. He went to a classical teacher to learn technique. And it turns out the teacher was an old fan of Ben Webster's. And you know, Ben has this great, wide, fat, breathy tone.
Right.
And it sounds like there's as much breath coming around the reed as through it,
that's
right?
That's right.
And this teacher was a fan of Ben Webster's. But when Ben came to him to study technique, and the teacher said, play something for me, and Ben played for him. And the teacher said, Mr. Webster, you do everything wrong, but it's beautiful. And don't you change anything. He wouldn't touch him. He refused. He said, I will not touch what you are doing, and for heaven's sake, don't go to anybody else.
Well, I think, like for instance, I got a book coming out first of the year. And it's been so many fellows that's interested in knowing what approach I take. So musically, in a book form, this book might explain a lot too, because there'll be a lot of fellows I probably won't run into. But the book will probably teach them musically the approach.
There is a story of the bumblebee that has frequently been attached to Wes Montgomery. That according to the laws of aerodynamics, of wing surface to body weight, that it's aerodynamically impossible for the bumblebee to fly. But the bee, not knowing this, flies. Wes Montgomery is
flying, right?
Is flying, just as unknowingly as the bumblebee. Wes, play something for us.
Okay.
California Nights.
Right.
California Nights.
Great.
Sit down, Dad. Wes, playing is your passport to the world. God bless you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for giving us this time today.
Beautiful. Pleasure.
You're beautiful, and guard your thumb.
Oh,
Guard your thumb.
I believe that.
Our program is People in Jazz, and our man in jazz today has been Wes Montgomery, guitarist by appointment to the world. This is Jim Rockwell. Good night.